New Thought Media Network proudly presents Lindsay Leimbach, Practicing Infinite Possibilities, Fridays at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. And now, here's Lindsay.
Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time zone you're in. Thank you for being here. If you're in California and you're watching PIP right now, then you might be having a cup of coffee. If you are on the East Coast, you might be having your lunch break. And if you're in the middle, then you're just having a break. But no matter where you are and when you're watching this, I want to thank you so much for joining. So today, I'm really excited. I sat back and I thought, what do I want us to learn today as being the teacher? And this book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, just like jumped off my here you go. I'm going to be showing my banners. So here we go. Woo woo. Jumped off my shelf. And I thought, you know what? I need to tell the story about Think and Grow Rich and why it actually made a huge difference in my life. So Think and Grow Rich, actually, it's not the book. What happened was when I graduated from college in 1988, and here I have a picture of myself I just want to show you with the big hair. Look at that hair. You got to love that. So when I graduated college in 1988, what did I want to do? Okay, what I wanted to do was make $1 million, own a BMW, and just be rich. It was Madonna time. Big fingernails, big hair, big shoulder pads. Remember that time? It's like, oh my gosh. So I really never had a full-time job. And someone said, go to a headhunter. And I said, okay, I'm going to go to this headhunter. And they said, I have a job for you. Now, remember, I was a psychology major. So my education is in psychology and education. And they said, we are going to have you sell copiers for Pitney Bowes door to door. I was like, well, got nothing else to do. You can make a lot of money. I said, okay, sign me up. So I started to work for Pitney Bowes, and I was 21 years old, and they were going to teach me, and they did teach me how to knock on people's doors and say, hi, I'm Lindsay Leimbach with Pitney Bowes, and I have a $10,000 to a $50,000 copier I want to sell you. And you know what? I did it. I made a lot of money. Within my first 18 months at Pitney Bowes, I had bought a car, paid off a car, had money in the bank account. Not only that, our copier team, which I'm going to come back to in a little bit, became #1 in the country. I became in the top 10 of people who have been for Pitney Bowes selling for less than 2 years. And I also became the #1 woman sales representative in the Baltimore office. And that included fax machines, mail machines, and copiers. Now, how did I do that? Well, I realized it really was this book. And this really was the beginning to me understanding spirituality, in which I now live by, that I absolutely live by. So someone said, read this book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And I said, okay, I'll do that. And in here, it starts talking about the power of the mind. The power of the mind. So before we do a deep dive, I just want to give a little background on this book. It was written in 1937. So, you know, that's a long time ago. And then I did some research on Napoleon Hill. And it turned out he's been divorced 3 times. He's been through bankruptcies. He's had his ups and downs. I mean, he's had a lot that went on in his life. And it really is irrelevant who wrote this book, because the concepts in the book actually are what we know to be true, that there's this universal energy and thought that flows through us, and that we access the good, we access what's inside ourselves. And if we're not aware of it, how can we cultivate it to come out and be released inside of us? Everything is already inside of us. We need to bring it into conscious thought. Through bringing it into conscious thought, then you bring it into subconscious mind and you blossom it. Well, of course, all that at 21 and not being raised in New Thought or Buddhism or Eastern philosophy, I didn't know any of that. All I had was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. So that's why I wanted to show you what I did. He said, whatever the mind of a man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Whatever you think about, you bring about. Whatever you think about, you bring about. I don't think about the language of Chinese, and so therefore I don't know how to speak Chinese because that's not my thought pattern. But when I was 21 years old, I thought about I'm selling copiers and I'm making money. And I saw myself doing it. And then I started to be able to do it. So if it's that easy, if he's saying this in this business format, if it's that easy, of whatever we think about and we can conceive, we can achieve, then why are we not having everything? Well, life is a little more complicated than that, as we all know. So I like to go back to my psychology background. And my psychology background, there's something called cognitive dissonance theory. Okay, that's a lot. Cognitive dissonance theory. I can barely get that out. So in cognitive dissonance theory, they said the mental discomfort is felt when your behavior and your belief systems are conflicting. So in other words, if you say to yourself, all right, I am all powerful, I am all powerful, and you're using those I am statements, but then you're not acting all powerful, it doesn't work. Your subconscious mind doesn't believe it. You have to bring in the thought and the feeling. The belief system has. And if not, what'll happen is that the thought will change to your behavior, or your behavior will start changing to your thought. So you have congruency again. This is what we do. So this is what we love to understand, is that when I was 21 years old, I didn't see myself as a rich person, but I hung out with people who trained me and believed that I could do this, believed that I could make money, trained me, showed me how to think it and act it. And then I started to become it. So we have to be able to think it and then actually feel it and act it to get it into the subconscious mind. Or in psychology, you have that conflict. I can say, I am enough. And then I go and I start behaving like I'm not enough. Well, then they say, you really don't believe you're enough, and you're contradicting it. So you have to get in there in the psychology to change, to be able to manifest. So this is very exciting. Now, here I'm doing my scrolling. I believe I can do it, and I can feel I can do it. Therefore, I can do it, right? Isn't that our mantra? Okay. He also said, every adversity, every failure, and every heartache carries with it a seed of the equivalent or greater belief. Now, that also is a hard nut to swallow when things are going wrong. Or let's go back to when I'm selling copiers and I am knocking on the door. And I'm like, hi, I'm Lindsay. I'm going to pick slam. Hi, slam. Hi, slam. I'm like, what? What are you trying to say to me? All this rejection. But what he talks about and what I learned in sales is that you don't see it as rejection. You see it as opportunity. You see it as opportunity that you can grow. And this is in Buddhism is what they call the beginner's mind. The beginner's mind doesn't get stuck on rejection. It opens the mind to the many infinite possibilities. Remember PIP, practicing infinite possibilities. So when something goes wrong, That is not an indication that life is wrong. It's not where you label yourself as bad or the situation is bad. It's when you enter the stream, the flow of consciousness, and you say, well, this is something I need to do, the ebb and flow of life, that life is impermanent and it continues to keep changing. It continues to keep changing. So when I was selling copiers at 22 years old and deals fell through, I mean, I'm kind of actually now looking at it, shocked that someone would buy a $50,000 copier in 1989 from a 22-year-old girl, but they did because I believed that I had a good product and that I could do it. And so my belief system and my actions went into it. And when they rejected or that they gave me ideas that maybe not, maybe you're too young, I didn't hold their truth as my truth. I held my own truth. My own truth is my truth. I know that this book is based on money, but what you think about, you bring about is so much more than money. It's about changing and becoming who you authentically are. So you need to be able to feel that and then be able to act upon it, and then feel that, and then act upon it. And when you get a stumbling block, you don't say to yourself, wow, see, I'm going back to square one. You don't put on those old tapes that of old belief systems. You play the new tapes of the authentic self. You allow it and say, well, of course, life is all about growing continuously. And when do we grow the most? Is when we actually have obstacles or disappointments. Changes of direction. Changes of direction is not a bad thing. It's a splendid thing because we're always growing and we're always learning. So go back to my sales roots. So I had this book. Now, the other person I had in my life when I was selling was Tom Hopkins. And I don't know if anyone remembers Tom Hopkins, but he wrote a book in 1988, How to Master the Art of Selling. Okay. And I actually saw him live. And once again, selling, he's talking about money, real estate, copiers, whatever. But what I'm really doing is mastering the selling of my authentic self to myself. This is the beginning of me understanding the power of my mind, the absolute power of my mind. Now, Tom Hopkins said, when you get a yes, when the universe is saying yes to you, when your client is saying yes to you, if your friend is saying yes to you, then you authentically serve. That's your yes. That means it's time for you to stand up. When life is treating you well, don't become complacent. Don't take it for granted. Go to gratitude. Say, yes, today's a great day for me to serve more, to be authentic, to really celebrate my authentic self and express it out to serve my authentic self, my internal self, but everything in the universe. The universe is saying your platform, your stage is here. There's your yeses. But Tom Hopkins then also said, not but, and Tom Hopkins also says, no. And now remember, I'm learning this in 1988, getting out of college. It's the first time these concepts of how the power of the mind works. So when you go into the no, it means that no, when someone says, nope, you're not doing that. No, you're not having this job. No, you can't go out to dinner, whatever. It activates the superpower of curiosity. No doesn't mean failure. No does not mean give up. No means that you need to understand and cultivate more questions in yourself. It is really when you start asking, well, why did I come to this no? Am I not serving correctly? Am I not being mindful? Which is, being a mindfulness teacher is one of my favorite words, of course, mindful. Being in the present moment without past stories attached to it. Cultivating curiosity through questions, through sitting there in silence. I get a no, doesn't mean talk more. It means talk less. and listen more. No is where you get to say, wow, I get to open up this door and see why is it a no? Because it doesn't mean that it's a failure. It does not mean it's a stop. It means that you don't know. And the world is filled with no's. No, you can't do this. No, you can't have this job. No, you're not going to make this sales. No, you're not going to get this appointment, whatever it is. No, you're not going to get this date, whatever it is. And it's not a reflection of rejection, which is what a lot of us feel is when we get no, it triggers a belief system that you're rejected again, like you were when you were a kid. And oh no, poor me, the victim self. We need to cultivate that no is a key to a door to unlock new knowledge. That is so awesome. I'm going to go up here. Hey, Dad's here. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Dad. I can see, I just want you to know, if you put comments in, I can see your comments, and I would love to recognize who is here with me. So let's go on. We've learned that yes means to serve and really to celebrate and go into gratitude when you get yeses. This is what Tom Hopkins taught me selling copiers, but Tom Hopkins taught me about living my life. Do you see how that learning how to sell copiers was the beginning of me waking up to my internal power? And once I bought into it, understood it, and cultivated it, the no's weren't rejections. The no's were more knowledge to be learned, cultivate, and I started to make money. But I also started to bring out the belief system that I got this as an adult, that I am now a young lady coming out into the 80s, and I can do whatever I want, whatever my mindset, and that is still here with me today. So what did Tom Hopkins do for me? What did Napoleon Hill for me? They gave me a lot of knowledge. So we all got lots of knowledge. If you look behind me, I got books. I got books over there. I got books there. I got books in the garage. I got books. We all have knowledge. I have courses. I have people I love to see. But we have to take the knowledge, Think and Grow Rich, and then we need to incorporate it into ourselves and bring it into self-awareness, into wisdom. It's one thing to say, yeah, okay, that makes sense. It's another thing to say, can I believe that? And can I bring it into who I am at this moment? And once you're bringing it into your own life, your own consciousness, into what is this beautiful vehicle I call Lindsay, but you call Wendell, or you call Barbara or Laura, whatever you have, bring the knowledge into the sacred vessel. And what is the wisdom that you can then act upon? Now let's go a little further. So we can have knowledge and we can have wisdom, but then we also want to have insight. So that means that's where you sit in the silence and you can sit there and you can say, hold the no. Remember, we're talking about the no. The no is the key to open up a door to something else. Take in the knowledge, bring it into your wisdom, and then have insight. Sit there and say, what can I learn from this? How can I cultivate my authentic self more from this no, from this obstacle, from this difficulty we have? Now, lots of people have knowledge. They might even have some wisdom. They certainly can tell other people what to do, right? They might even have some self-awareness, which is the insight we're talking about. But the last thing you have to do is take action from your knowledge, your wisdom, and your insight. Then you have to actually take this wonderful vehicle of myself and go and do the behavior. We go back into what we're talking about in the beginning is the belief system and the behavior have to match, or you have cognitive dissonance. And what will happen is you'll lose one or the other to match to what your old behavior or belief system was. So we don't want to do that as we're cultivating our authentic self, our good, our kindness, that we're enough, that we are great. As we're doing that, then we have the knowledge, the wisdom, the insight, but then you have to do the behavior and the action. So I could tell you that I know how to sell copiers door to door. I can tell you why I can sell copiers door to door. I can tell you how I'm going to handle rejection. copiers door to door. But unless I go and literally knock on the door, I sell no copiers. I make no money. Right? So I went out and took this information and actually executed it. And then what did I do? I made money. I made a lot of money. It was pretty magnificent. Now, one thing I did learn by doing the knowledge, the wisdom, insight, and the action is that I realized that the purpose and meaning of my life was not to sell copiers. That was not what I was going to do for the rest of my life. That is not it. But the schooling I learned from it, it was actually the beginning of my sacred awareness of the internal power of my knowledge. Now, once I had that playground of selling copiers, improving myself, and having a belief system and an action that moved together, a behavior and action, now what can I do with it? Jump way ahead, what did I end up doing was become running a school. And people say, how do you know all this business and running a school? How can you bring all these people in and have the school? And I would always laugh and I think it started by selling copiers. It absolutely started by me selling copiers. Okay. So he also says success requires no explanations, no failure permits no alibis. This goes back to the yes and no of Tom Hopkins, and also to my classes. 2 episodes I did, let's see, of humility, which was episode 5 and episode 6. I talked about the power of humility. And in the power of humility is that I don't need to run around and tell everyone how great I am. No, this is all self-work. Even if you're making money, if you're making a school, if you're making a home, you don't need outside validation to motivate your subconscious mind and to go into mind and grow. This is internal work. This is your journey, your passion, your life. So you don't need to go out and toot your own horn about your success. You will be successful because of your thoughts and your behaviors, not because people know you're successful. They'll see it. Don't get me wrong. You'll get the awards and acclamats, but I didn't chase that. I did it from inside out. And then failure permits no alibis, because failure, you don't need to make an excuse for doing it wrong. You don't need to have an alibi because you might have messed up or misstepped. It's just redirection. It is just growth. Say, oh, yeah, you can say you're sorry if you hurt someone. You certainly can say, what can I learn next? But looking over your shoulder and saying that I need to make an excuse for yesterday does nothing in the present moment and the power of today, except for evaluate. That's not the word. Except for, I'm going to get this word. I'm going to get it. Evaluate. I can't get the word out. Except for the word, except keep solidifying old belief systems. Someone needs to text me the word I was trying to find. So in Think and Grow Rich, which is a fun book, he has 31 causes of failure. Okay. Now he says, now these are, I only picked out 3, but 1, lack of well-defined purpose in life. In other words, you don't know what you want. You have not activated what you want inside of you. You just have some kind of general belief system. Okay. I knew that I wanted to sell copiers at that time period, but I also knew that I wanted to be the best I could be. I had a purpose, a well-defined purpose. Now, did that stay forever? Of course, it grew. It kept growing and growing, but you need to know what you want. So many of us out there know what they don't want. Say, well, I don't want that in my life. I go, where are you going? I don't know. Just not that. Well, stop looking over your shoulder on what you don't want and look forward to what you do want. You can see how much I believe in this in my own, because it really does work. I am the example. The number 2 is lack of ambition to aim over mediocrity. Now that's a lot. But the first one is about thinking, and the second one is about feeling. If you just say, I want to get through this day, if you just want to numb yourself out and just say, gosh, please let me get through this day, then nothing will change. You will keep repeating old belief systems over and over. You will be on that hamster wheel. Last week, I talked about the player piano, remember? If you go to mediocrity as a belief system on how you're going to handle your day, then you are going to play the same song over and over again, over and over again. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't play the same song of the past in the power of the present. The magic is right here in the present moment, right here in the present moment. The third one is the lack of well-defined power of decision. Okay, now that's a lot to say. It means that you don't realize you have free will and choice. You always have free will and choice. So if your behavior and your thought system aren't matching up, you have free will and choice to practice either changing your behavior or changing your thought system. You have the power of choice, the power of choice. So a lot of general limiting beliefs that people have is, I am not likable enough, I am not smart enough, I don't have enough money. And these are the things that stop them. It's a belief system. So you have to get in there and decide what is that belief system, and then you have the power of choice to change it and make a different decision and clarify how to do it. So many of us know that one way of doing it is through the power of imagination, where you tap in, he calls it the power of imagination, but where you tap into the subconscious mind that you envision and that you feel. And you can do this through prayer, and you can do this through visualization, right? And they actually show that when you do this, and I have a wonderful article called The Positive Tetris effect, which shows that when you actually do this in science, when you visualize, when you sit and you see what you want and you feel what you want and you see yourself doing the behavior and the action, and you declare it to the universe, not only does it start shifting you inside, it starts changing your brain and actually starts growing the areas of your brain in the way you want it to grow out of the power of choice. This is so huge, so huge. So I told my husband that I was going to be talking about Think and Grow Rich, and he laughed. He said, that is one book I actually read in college. And I said, really? I said, what do you remember about the book in college? And he said, the mastermind part. And so I wanted to touch base because this is extremely important. So I wrote down the page number. This is what Napoleon says about mastermind. No two minds ever come together without thereby creating a third. Let's see, invisible, intangible force, which may be linked to the third mind. What he's trying to say is, what mastermind group is when you have more than one person come together. So I'm an individual and someone else is an individual, and we carry our own belief systems, our actions, thoughts. But when we become together, we become extremely powerful because we complement each other and we become a third mind, a collective conscious mind. And so we have collective conscious minds within our family, within our neighborhood, within sports teams. And when you have and you choose the right people, you create an incredible team. And another book that I've really enjoyed that's really in the same genre is this, The 1 Minute Millionaire by Mark Victor Hansen. And he says team. Here we go. This is team. Is together everyone accomplishes miracles. Together, everyone accomplishes miracles. And you say, well, Lindsay, that's great. How do I get a mastermind team? I'm telling you, you already have one. You might not like the one, but who do you hang out with the most? Who do you discuss ideas with the most? You already have a collective conscious team going together right now. And if you do not like the results, or if you all have a belief system that the world is bad, that there isn't enough, there's not enough money, there's not enough food, there's not enough time, then what you are actually creating the miracle of the negativity. Please own that. Please realize that. So what we want to do, as Napoleon Hill says, or as Mark says in his book, is create a team in which other people can support you and cultivate your behaviors and your belief systems. Why did Baltimore Pitney Bowes copiers in 1989, why were we #1 in the country? It wasn't because of me alone. Everybody was rocking it because we all believed it together. We every day someone else would bring in a new deal, a new deal, new deal, and we fed on each other and we cultivated. And when we got stuck in something, we didn't say no. We looked at our team member and we said, "Listen, I got this rejection. What would you do? How would you handle this no?" And we learned from each other. So do this. Your spiritual community is the community you hang out with, that you accept and you listen to their ideas and their belief systems. And if you have those belief systems that I stated before, not enough money, not enough time, I'm not good enough, if that is it, then I hate to say your team is doing the miracle of the negative. Choose wisely your team. Keep cultivating. You want to think and grow rich? Get a good team. Decide what you want your authentic belief systems to be. Cultivate them up. Get the behavior to match it up. And it'll happen for you. It'll happen for you. That is my story, and I'm sticking to it, and it's been true my whole life. So selling copiers was the beginning of my spiritual awakening of understanding the power of the mind when I was 21 years old. Cool, huh? Cool. Spirituality is everywhere, in everything. Don't settle. Don't settle. Serve authentically yourself, for yourself, and for others. So in September, which happens to be next Friday, I am going to have a new theme. It's called Falling, because we're going into fall, Falling into Happiness. And every week, there's 5 weeks. Every week, I'm doing a book on happiness. So next week, I'm doing this book. It's called Hector and the Search of Happiness. This is a novel. It is one of the best short novels you'll ever read to bring in the belief system and the understanding of how to be happy. It is really good. So I'm going to talk about this book and kind of like give it a review and pull out the nuggets, the golden nuggets of it. And then I really highly recommend for everyone to have this could be your fall reading. Look how short it is. Fun, fun. Then I'm going to go into the how of happiness. The next week, hardwiring of happiness. Happiness is the Way by the Dalai Lama. And then I'm going to end, no, happiness is the way with, not with the Dalai, with Wayne Dyer, Dalai Lama. I'm going to end with the Dalai Lama, The Art of Happiness. We can bring happiness and the belief systems into our life. I can bring in some knowledge. You cultivate it into wisdom. You bring it into insight, and then do the action. And we can fall into happiness together. I want to thank you guys so much for everyone being here today. I really do appreciate it. I just love being at PIP, practicing infinite possibilities. Remember, practicing does not make perfect. Practicing makes improvement. Practicing makes improvement. So keep coming to New Thought Network right here. This is a wonderful nonprofit organization. I am so grateful that they give me this platform, but they have fabulous other teachers and ministers and reverends and prayer groups. Check out their other ones. Remember, it's all on donation. Until next week, keep practicing, because practice makes improvement. Thank you.
On behalf of everyone at New Thought Media Network, Thank you for being a member of our virtual family. Your financial contributions help share the New Thought message with people from around the world. Please visit and contribute at www.ntmedia.org/donate. New Thought Media Network. Come be you. And please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, peace and blessings.
New Thought Media Network proudly presents Lindsay Leimbach, Practicing Infinite Possibilities, Fridays at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, 9 a.m. Pacific.